Hey, I'm Zac.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching a Now You Know special report
On the Tesla Q2 earnings call.
All right, so if you listened to the earnings call the other day with Elon, then your mind was already blown. And so...
And we need some stitching back together. And you've probably forgotten some things.
That's right.
Because if you didn't write it down on paper or in a Word document, you've forgotten some of it because a human mind just cannot
hold
all of this information in.
All right, some of the most important stuff is up first, and then if you want to stay with us, we'll get into some of the deep dive stuff. But here you go. So here's why the stock went up like 16% plus yesterday.
Yeah.
It's because of these main factors here. So first of all, we heard the regular stuff. There was $3.06 a share loss on revenues of $4 billion. The key takeaway here is that the revenue was up 43% year over year.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of growth.
And they've got $2.2 billion in cash on hand.
That's nice.
It's nice to have.
I wish that I had $2.2 billion in cash on hand.
Don't you?
I feel like I could do anything with that amount.
You can. You can do a lot. You can build a factory,
It's
a
insane.
gigafactory.
Yes.
So Elon said that they are aiming for 6,000 Model 3s a week by the end of August and 10,000 a week by the end of the year. So just that fact made Wall Street happy, and the stock started inching up in after-hours trading just from that. Now, here's one of the next big ones that he let drop. They are going to be non-GAAP profitable from now on.
Okay, so what is non-GAAP? Because it sounds like he's going to be non-profitable.
Yeah, no. So non-GAAP, it's an accounting term. It means generally accepted accounting principles. Non-GAAP, you don't count a few things in there, but basically. Non-GAAP profitable means that they'll have more cash at the end of each quarter than they lost. They'll be profitable at the end of each quarter.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, and not just Q3 and Q4. See, everyone thought, well, he'll pull out all the stops, he'll play some trickery to be profitable for Q3, Q4, and then next year he'll need money again.
Right.
But what he said was from now on.
Continue.
As soon as he said that, stock went up like 6% in after-market trading because everyone's like, oh, that's a big deal.
Right.
And that is a big deal. Here's another bombshell, something that was top secret until this call. Tesla is making their own computer chips for self-driving cars.
So they're like aiming to be a little bit competitive with NVIDIA or something like that?
You could say that, except instead of a little competitive, they're 10 times faster than NVIDIA chips.
But okay, what does that mean? You can't just say 10 times
Okay,
faster.
so NVIDIA's chips now does 200 frames a second.
Okay, that's
Tesla's chips do over 2,000 frames a second at full resolution on their cameras. All perfect, all designed for autonomous driving. See, NVIDIA chips, don't forget, are GPU chips. They're designed for graphics, and they just happen to work well.
because graphics are very powerful computers.
Right, and because they're very similar, graphics are you're taking cameras. But these chips, these Tesla chips, they were invented starting back in 2016, we believe.
Right. So how is Tesla now all of a sudden have these chips?
This is back in 2016. If you remember some of the reports that even we did, they were hiring people from AMD, architects, chip architects, and executives.
AMD is like the other graphics card other than NVIDIA.
Right, and Intel. Right. They're a major chip manufacturer. And the cool thing here, we think, is that they've found a way to have high-speed bandwidth from the memory to the chip. And I guess they've been working on that for quite a while. Quite a while in board terms. It's only been 2 years, but...
Right.
And so now they have this card. Now, here's the amazing part. It's swappable, which means you drive in, they'll be able to pull your computer out, pop in a new computer. The connectors are all the same. You drive away, you have the better AP system.
And so let's remember, Elon said that if the current computers on the Model 3s and all the cars that they're putting out for full self-driving, if they don't have the right computers, that they'll swap them out.
Right.
So this gets me thinking that they knew the whole time.
Yeah.
He knew, basically, that they needed to be swapped.
I think he did. I think he knew that the cards they had were capable of doing a certain level, but not what they needed for full autonomy. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why he wasn't that worried, because he knew they were working on it.
Right.
So NVIDIA is a company that's worth $150 billion.
And isn't Tesla worth, like, less than that?
$58 billion.
So NVIDIA is worth...
almost 3 times.
3 times as much.
And NVIDIA only makes one thing.
Right, which is
chips.
This. Tesla makes cars and battery packs and solar systems, and now they're also going to make fully autonomous, capable
Yeah.
chips.
You're seeing why the stock went up 16% in one day.
This is a huge, I mean, not only that's got to hurt for NVIDIA, I'm sure. But I mean, talk about all the other car manufacturers that are now relying on NVIDIA. And Elon just said that their computers are 10 times better than NVIDIA.
Do you realize how often the media says in autonomous driving, Waymo is in the lead, followed by Cruise Automation?
Right.
They never get to Tesla. They always, like, as if it's not going to happen.
They poo-poo it all the time because Tesla
Because there's no LiDAR stuck in their cars. It
Right.
doesn't look like they're
like a
trying
reindeer.
for
Right.
it. Right. Anyway, can we go on to another mic drop?
Yeah, let's just...
All right. So in the call, Elon talked about the top 5 cars that have been traded in for Model 3s. And this is pretty amazing because these are basic cars. The Honda Civic, the Honda Accord, the BMW 3 Series, the Toyota Prius, and the Nissan Leaf.
I think that this is an amazing spread of cars that are the top 5 trade-ins. It shows that not only are people trading in, what you might expect, like a Prius. Oh, a Prius up to a Model 3, you're trying to save the environment, good for you. Or a Leaf. It's one electric car to another. But the BMW 3 Series, which means that you're coming from, like, I want to drive a fast car.
Right.
You're coming from a Honda Civic, which is I want something that's reliable.
Those are the two amazing ones to me.
Yeah.
The Civic and the Accord. That means that you're trading up quite a bit because don't forget, this is not a $35,000 Model 3 at the moment. This is a $55,000 Model 3. So that means you're trading way up to get this car.
People want this car more than anything.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. It's going to be the best car they've ever owned.
And then talking about that, Elon said their sales force is Tesla customers.
It completely makes sense.
You sell a Model 3, people drive it home, and they start selling it for you.
Right.
That's incredible. What other car can you think of? You drive it off the lot, and then the new owner becomes your salesperson.
Right. When was the last time someone was like, hey, you want to go for a ride in my Kia? No.
You should really buy a Kia, Dave.
Check it out.
It's so awesome.
This is amazing.
The Sorento is like amazing.
It's going to blow your mind. My friend has a Kia Sorento. It's okay.
Right, but so you're not trying to sell it.
I'm not. Don't buy. It's a gas car. Gross.
All right, here's the other mic drop. The Shanghai factory. Elon said it'll probably only cost $2 billion.
That seems cheap to me.
Well, I'll tell you why I think he's right.
But I mean, what were people? We were expecting it to be higher. We were expecting it to be.
Well, I mean, Gigafactory 1 is in the $5 billion range. And a lot of people thought, okay, well, it's going to be cheaper in China, so $3.5 billion. Elon said he's thinking 2. Now, if that's true, if he can come in at 2, that's unbelievable.
Right.
And why I think that's possible is because labor in China is a lot cheaper than it is in California and Nevada.
And I think that they know a lot more than they did when they started building the first Gigafactory, the Fremont factory,
They
everything
learned a
like that.
lot.
They know exactly what robots they need to buy. I'm sure that it's somewhere that there's like a little pile of robots somewhere that they were like, oh, we actually don't need these ones. But I mean, wow.
Yeah.
That is a huge bombshell in itself.
There's so many. Just what we just said is why the stock just went skyrocketing.
Right. And when people asked him, where are you going to get this money to fund this China factory, Elon said that it's going to be paid for with local Chinese bank loans.
Yeah. That is a...
So he said basically...
Can I do this? That is a this to Wall Street.
Right. A big one.
Yeah.
Basically like, all right, fine. I'll go to another country where they get it, and they're definitely going to finance me.
And that's good for so many reasons. First of all, that means that China gets it. Second of all, it means that he's going to be really tied in with the Chinese economy.
Right.
Because they're going to loan him money. They now need him to succeed. Like, that's a wonderful relationship to have.
Right.
And it shows Wall Street... Oh, fine, you don't get it? There's plenty of other money in the world that does. And this factory, he said, is going to produce about 250,000 cars a year, and it'll have battery and pack production, body shop, paint shop, and general assembly. So the whole 9 yards will be in this factory. All right, so I want to get something right away that really hit me. So the first 2 calls he took from Wall Street people, he apologized. You remember in the last call, Elon got kind of upset at the questions he was getting. He called them bonehead questions, and he dismissed them. Here he took...
They were kind of boneheaded.
Oh, they were. But I want to read his apology. He said, first of all, I'd like to apologize for being impolite on the prior call. Honestly, I think there's really no excuse for bad manners, and I was violating my own rule in that regard. Certainly, I have some excuse. There are reasons for it in that I'd gotten no sleep, been working sort of 110-hour, 120-hour weeks. But nonetheless, there's still no excuse. My apologies for not being polite on the prior call. And he did that for 2 of the people that he had been impolite to.
Right. So, I mean, I just want to dispel one thing, which is that Elon Musk is a human being, despite the amazing things that he does. A lot of people think that he might be an alien. As far as we know, as far as science can tell, he is a human being.
Yep.
120-hour work week. So you probably know about or have heard of or have done, most like a lot of you have probably done, a 40-hour work week.
Yep.
And maybe sometimes when it was crunch time or something like that, you may have done like a 60-hour work week, like maybe one of them.
Yeah, that's a lot
and
of hours.
some of you crazy people out there might do 60-hour work weeks. Now I want you to do that and just double it. Just take the 60-hour work week, the big crazy one, and double it.
Is that possible?
So if you're working, let's say you work Monday through Friday, and you do a 120-hour work week, you are working 24 hours a day. So this kind of shows that he definitely was not working Monday through Friday.
Wow.
Because that would have killed him, which means that it was he was including the work 7 days a week.
No, he said that, yeah.
7 days a week, that's working about 17, 18 hours a day.
Wow.
Which means you get about 6 hours of sleep, and then you're right back to work.
And I mean, he has a family, he has 5 kids.
Right.
And he was...
doing that.
And I mean, that would totally explain why he was short with people on the call. You know,
Right.
And really, Elon, you need to get more sleep.
Sleep is very important.
Yes.
Yes, sometimes you need to cut your sleep back in order to do certain things, but you can't do it
Your
forever.
brain needs to sleep.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about car margins. All the financial people want to know this. It's important. And Elon said that in Q3, which is next quarter, the cars will have a 15% margin. Q4, they'll have a 20% margin. And then Q1 of 2019, they'll have a 25% margin, which is fantastic for a car. So if he can hit those margins, that is fantastic. Let's talk about AP. So everyone wants to know about autopilot. Are we getting some upgrades? And basically he said that version 9 is ready to go for the early testers in August. So this month it's rolling out to the early testers, and the full release will come in September. Now, what we kind of heard from their AP team is that they're working on active safety features the most. That is their focus. So it doesn't sound like we're going to get all the sexy full autonomy features that Elon was kind of promising earlier, because they're more focused on active safety. What does that mean? I think it means engaging the cameras around the car so that if you need to beep at people automatically or brake automatically or swerve automatically, that the cars will do that.
I'm sorry, did you just say that the car would beep at people?
Well, their AP team did say that specifically. They said beep. So maybe the car will beep if there's some reason to beep. It seems smart, actually, because you beep, right, to alert people of something.
Right.
And right now the car can't beep on its own. So maybe that'll become a safety feature.
That's really cool.
Yeah. The difference seems to be that instead of focusing on getting the car to do, coast-to-coast driving right now, they're really focused on safety. And then he said once they've got the safety all set, then they're going to work on coast-to-coast driving, which he said would happen next year. Now, I know he said that twice before, coast-to-coast driving. It sounds like it's because he's had a change of heart and he wants to make sure everything is super, super safe.
So I think that what they've realized is that they have a lot more time, a lot more space to work in this sort of autonomous market. I think that they were worried that they were going to need to push features, features that you could see to the cars all the time, because they were worried that Waymo was going to be focused on like integrating it into a car that you could buy.
Right.
But they're not. They're only focusing on particular mapped out routes and areas in cities.
This is a really good point. So if you map everything first and tell the computer all about what is in that physical space, then you can make a much easier time of it for yourself.
Right. But you have to map it. You have to pay a guy, right. Okay, here's the keys to this crazy car. I'm going to pay you $17 an hour. Just drive around the entire city. We'll have routes for you.
Right.
But you still have to pay that guy to go map out that whole city, which means that the city is great.
And you have to keep updating the maps.
And you have to keep updating the maps because, some
keeps changing.
They put in a lamppost, all of a sudden the car's like, wait a minute.
And Elon said if we wanted to map our route from coast to coast, we could do it today. No problem.
Right.
He said that's cheating. We want to do it actual autonomous driving.
And this makes sense. I mean, you can't map the whole world.
Right. So when everyone says that Waymo's number one, Waymo, they don't understand how autonomous works.
Right.
And so they're giving Waymo a way bigger advantage than they should.
Let's say you take Magellan.
Okay.
And you gave him a map of the whole world.
A GPS accurate
GPS,
map.
yeah.
And
you gave him a
he knew where he
GPS.
was at every moment.
Right. Here you go, Magellan. Go around the whole world. And he's like, why do I need to do this? I have the map.
Right. I was doing this to make the map.
Whereas the Tesla version is just having a car that can go.
It's like putting a blindfold on you, spinning you around 3 times, and pushing you out into some new environment and going, okay, blindfold off, go.
Right. And then being like, okay, I know what to do.
Right. I'll find
Instead
my
of
way.
just being like, wait a minute. Where am I? Hang on. This wasn't mapped. I don't know where I am. Like it's like if you dropped your teenager in the middle of a city that they didn't know where to get to, and you took away their smartphone.
That's right. Now, it sounds like we'll be getting on-ramp and off-ramp features in the version 9. That itself is going to be pretty cool.
Cool.
All right, and let's talk about this one. This alone, if it was on the conference call, if this were on the earnings call, probably would have been enough for me.
Yep.
This is a graph showing you the U.S. market share for the Model 3. So the Model 3 is that red line at the bottom, and as you can see, it's going up. And then what's that gray line at the top?
So that is the combined market share of the BMW 3 Series, the Audi A4, the Mercedes C-Class, and the Lexus IS. So basically, that is everyone else in the mid-sized premium sedan market.
Okay.
All the other companies that produce premium mid-sized sedans.
Oh, so you're saying the Model 3 beat the 3 Series?
It's just surpassed, it's not just surpassed the 3 Series.
Oh, so you're saying it surpassed Lexus?
No, it surpassed all of them combined, put together.
What?
They're all selling less than 50% of this market share.
But Model 3 is just one model.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's an EV.
Yes, and it's absolutely blowing them out of the water.
And it just came out, and no one's had a chance to even drive it.
That is what we're saying. That is the insane thing. These are not like... It's not like it's breaking into the EV market. Okay? It's done that. It's blown it out of the frickin' water. Okay? We're talking about cars that everyone drives. Very successful people, of course, drive. But holy crap.
Yeah.
It's broken into this market, and it's completely obliterated the competition.
And get this, only 3 weeks ago, there was only 8 Model 3 showrooms that had Model 3s you could drive in.
Only 8 places where you could sit in the car.
Today, there's 90, and soon there'll be 100 showrooms. This month, there'll be 100 showrooms in the world that you can drive a Model 3 in. That means that almost all these people have never driven one. And, and Elon said that. He went to deliver, he hand-delivered a car on Sunday. They did this one-off kind of... They did this delivery where you put one car in a truck and drive it to someone's house. And when he brought it to the guy had never been in a Model 3 before.
Right. He'd never sat in one. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, the people who are buying these cars have never seen them. They've never touched them. They've never, gone for a test ride.
Yeah.
That is insane. Because as soon as all these cars have gone out and people start giving test drives and test rides, which, by the way, if you have Model 3, please do that because you're going to sell like a dozen cars. As soon as all of those cars go out, it's just going to explode because people are going to be like, what the hell am I doing in this car? And I know I've said this so many times, but I got to drive the Model 3 today, and oh my God, do I not want to drive anything else at all? It's amazing.
Then we also learned on the call that Gigafactory 1 reached 20 gigawatt hours of battery production. That's more than all other car manufacturers combined.
Right.
Now, this is a big deal. It's hard to sink in here. We're talking about all the other car manufacturers like, we are going to have electric cars.
Right.
But they don't make batteries.
They don't personally make batteries. So they might sub it out to LG Chem or CAT-L, but they don't make their own batteries.
This video you're watching right now is Tesla making their batteries, and it's lightning fast. There was some talk about General Assembly Line 3 and how it kind of failed. This is the line at the Fremont factory that just wasn't able to keep up. And so what they did was, in a 2-week time period, they built that giant semi-permanent tent. It's not really a tent, but whatever. And they built General Assembly Line 4. And they learned a lot because they had to move fast. So they couldn't just like buy a lot of new stuff. They had to reuse a lot of stuff.
You go on Amazon today, you can buy something. But if you want to order any kind of machinery, there's usually like a 2-month lead time.
Right.
And if you're lucky, you can't get anything.
Probably
in 2
more
weeks.
than that, right? Because this is very specialized stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's amazing that they were able to do anything in 2 weeks.
And what they did in 2 weeks is they basically built a new line that works better than the old line, and they're actually going to be basing their general assembly in the future off of this line. One of the things they did was the conveyor belts, first of all, they reused their old conveyor belts. They built a straight conveyor belt line, and then because it wasn't strong enough to hold a car and move it along, they put it on a 1% grade. And they let gravity, as Elon said, anytime you got Newton working on your side, that's a good thing. So they had gravity help them. That's awesome.
Gravity-assisted assembly line.
Yeah.
Maybe that's going to be in the textbooks.
Maybe. Then they put a quality team at the end of the line. They made it so that instead of having, they had this really complex sorting thing where they had 240 workers who would take parts and put them into new bags and new boxes. And they were like, we don't have time for that. So they just drove a semi-tractor trailer truck up to the line, took the stuff they needed off of it, and used it on the line. And they're like, oh, that works better.
Right. The other thing is they had the designers of the line working on the line. So basically they designed, General Assembly Line 3. They were there to see how their designs failed and how they succeeded.
Right.
They were able to gain all that experience to build General Assembly Line 4.
Right.
And moving forward, these engineers have just built a couple of assembly lines. That's insane. Usually you have some engineers who have worked on an assembly line. And, I've made this little teensy tiny improvement. Oh, we switched from Phillips head to flathead screwdrivers, and that made a huge improvement. Or, we've had a ratcheting thing. But no. They completely, in 2 weeks, had to change.
Right. As Elon said, they felt the pain. And once you feel the pain, you learn.
These guys are going to, find out who they are and hire them.
No, don't.
Don't yet, but, holy crap, are these people going to be so valuable at Tesla?
Valuable. I mean, and that's what I mean. I think Tesla had to go through some of these growing pains,
right.
And it's very valuable. There was a question from Tim Higgins from the Wall Street Journal, and he asked Elon, can you make 1 million cars in 2020? And Elon said, I think so. Yeah, I think pretty close, or at least 750,000. We'll aim for 1 million. 500,000 to 1 million. Well, we can do over 600,000. Yeah, with the current Gigafactory, Fremont. Yeah, we can do that. Basically, it's so funny to hear him thinking, but basically at the end of his thinking, he came down to that he thinks 700 to 800,000 seems pretty likely for 2020.
That's amazing.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And he said that they think they'll be doing 200,000 from Shanghai, which means he thinks Shanghai will be up and running by 2020. That's awesome.
Right.
He wouldn't say where they're going to make the Model Y, not yet. He said he'll announce it this year, maybe. And they hope to identify the Euro Giga location by the end of the year.
That's also super exciting. All news within itself.
I know. And then Zachary Sheehan from Clean Technica said, just want to tell you guys that Camry sales are down 22%. Prius is down 23%. I mean, that just it backs up what we've been saying, that basically all these other car manufacturers are hurting.
I just want to paint a picture for you. You look outside, when you're driving to work or in a parking lot, and just look at all the Priuses.
Priuses, yep, lots of them.
Just imagine that they're all Model 3s, because basically a Prius costs the same as a base Model 3.
It's going to be a prettier world.
It's going to, everyone who drives a Prius does it for one of two reasons. They want to save the planet, or they want cheaper driving.
Oh, I thought the third reason was because they like ugly cars.
Right. Now you get to drive a beautiful car, which is better for the planet and cheaper to drive and maintain. Holy crap.
Yeah. Sorry, Prius owners. Just had to put that dig in there.
But hey, thank you for
thank you.
for driving something other than, gas guzzling gross things.
But Elon did let this one slip. He said, how fast we can grow battery production, that will determine our growth. And I think that's, of course, true, because everything they build pretty much other than the solar roof involves batteries.
Right. So it's very, and that has not been an issue for at all that we've been hearing.
Right.
Battery production was never really like, we can't make any of these Model 3s because we don't have enough batteries, which is, may I point out, the problem with every other car manufacturer.
Right.
Every other car manufacturer is like, we know how to make cars, but we don't have any batteries.
Right.
Help! Oh no! What are we going to do? There's no batteries.
Mm-hmm. And they thought of this. That's why they started building the Gigafactory.
Right.
I also heard that several hundred homes now have the solar roof on them, which I didn't know before. I thought it was like 6 people had it.
Right.
So several hundred, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And then Elon answered another one of Zach's questions about bottlenecks. And he said, don't take this out of context, because if you take it out of context, there'll be just lots of news media outlets that'll be saying all sorts of crazy things. But he said, I usually go where the bottlenecks are. And the bottleneck right now is at Model 3 body shop. And for the past 3 weeks, they've been making a lot of great progress, and they're now up to 800 bodies made in 24 hours. So sustained rate of 800 per day. And he said he thinks there's lots of ways they can get that faster. So that's pretty awesome. And he said that right after the call, guess where he's going?
He's going back to the body shop. Gonna get... Yeah, he's gonna get ripped.
He's going to get ripped.
I just want to point out, most CEOs are not at the bottleneck. After the calls, they're gonna, I'm tired. I'm going to go have a mimosa on my private yacht.
Yeah.
They're not
Elon.
They're not like, all right, time to get back to the factory for another 17-hour workday.
Yeah. And then our buddy Galileo Russell from Hyperchange, and if you haven't checked out his show on YouTube, definitely go check it out. Yeah, he's awesome. He got in on the call, and we supported him. We sent a letter to the investor relations. He got in a question about, he got in a bunch of great questions, and Elon thanked him for his questions, although he couldn't answer all of them because some of them were like top secret. But he did ask about...
It shows that you're asking the right questions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He asked about the auto and energy storage, and he said, there's 20 gigawatt hours of batteries in the cars, and there's 1 gigawatt hour of batteries in energy. And I think that Elon confirmed that, and that was a slip up, because I don't think that was supposed to be public information.
Right.
Because JB was like, is that public? And Elon's like, it is now.
Yeah. JB went on to say that basically, only 1 gigawatt hour may sound like nothing, especially when you're comparing it to 20 gigawatt hours, but that is a 300% increase from last year.
And he said next year they plan on 3 to 4 times this.
They're having an amazing growth rate in the battery storage sector.
And then they said the energy division is growing faster than the auto division, and they plan on having the energy division get bigger than the auto division.
Right. Their limiting factor for the energy division is training of electricians.
Yeah.
They can't train they can't train the electricians fast enough to get all of the potential business out there. So I'm just saying, like, if you're like, man, I really don't know what to do with my life. I want to do something good, or, I know that I need to change directions because I'm, driving a truck, and I know that won't happen. That won't last forever.
Let's talk about that for a second. These jobs are actually good ones, because you're not going to be stuck like in a cubicle. You're going to be seeing new locations all the time. You're going to be out in the outdoors.
You're going to meet other people, see their houses.
Yeah.
You're going to be you're going to be making such a great impact. So, if you were just, I know there's probably like 6 people watching who are like, that applies to me. But like, hey, just think about it.
There are not going to be enough electricians in the world.
That's insane.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a fantastic call. I'd say I'd put this in one of my top 5 calls, because there's just so much cool information. It was so positive, and I love having Galileo in on the calls. I hope that becomes a regular thing, because it's just great having the regular folks represented instead of just these stuffy, Wall Street analysts. We get Gali in there. So
boneheaded Wall Street analysts.
Yes.
And yeah, what an amazing call just for the stock price.
Yeah.
What a absolute huge...
Because think about it, the stock could have gone either way.
Yeah.
If some bad information had come out, it would have dropped, no question about it.
Absolutely.
But
there's so much pressure to push the stock down from all the news media. It is just... we're going to talk about this more on Tesla Time News next week, but CNBC had a story that came out the day of the call.
The shorts are hurting over $1 billion today, so yay.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody.
All right.
Now you know. Thanks so much for watching Now You Know. We work hard to bring you videos about things that we think you'll find useful, but we need to know from you what you want to see, so leave your comments below. Also, don't forget to go over to our Patreon page, where for as little as $1 a month, you can watch our Patreon bonus story every week on Tesla Time News. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.